Wolves manager Mark McGee has made it perfectly clear he's going to do things his way at Molineux this season. And with Steve Ball banging in the goals, one of England's most glamorous clubs could be heading back to the big time. But Charlton boss Alan Kirbishley has his own ambitions, and after a disappointing start to the season and a nightmare week, Charlton will want to kickstart their campaign with a win tonight. Yes, as the arrival of September sees the nights just beginning to draw in a little bit, we're in the Black Country this evening. Friday night football comes to Molineux, one of the best stadiums in the league, for Wolves against Charlton Athletic. Stand by for the Wolves Roar tonight. It's live here on Sky Sports 3, and kick-off is at 7:45. Hello there, nice to have your company. A very good evening to you. Another really intriguing match in store tonight. Always a wonderful atmosphere at Molineux, a passionate and a really noisy crowd as well. You'll hear them tonight. But Charlton should not be underestimated. They're a well-organised team who will be desperate for a win to get away from the bottom of the table. I'm delighted to welcome Alan Ball to the studio this evening, and our own Alan Brazil, of course. And first, Alan, I'll start with you. Alan Ball, there are going to be two guests called Alan tonight. Thanks a lot. How was the holiday? You've been away?
Yes, I had a week in Spain, had a nice time, played a lot of golf, relaxed with my wife, with some nice friends.
Missing the game already or not?
Not really, no. You know, these things happen and it just takes a little while to get over them.
Missing your golf, though?
Pardon?
Missing your golf?
No, I want to get there to single figures.
Alan, we're at Molineux tonight. You were there a couple of weeks ago. It is a magnificent stadium, isn't it?
It's one of the best in the country, never mind the First Division. I watched QPR play there. Great atmosphere, I promise you. These fans here, this is the season, they feel the Premier coming to them. And tonight there'll be over 20,000. Fantastic, look at that.
This is what can happen when you have a nice benefactor behind you. You know, Jack Hayward, the money that he and the other board members have put into this club is quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It's tremendous, and there's a great buzz up there in the Black Country, you know, and I really feel Mark McGee's made statements and he says, yes, we're going to do it this year. And I promise you, I was very, very impressed with Wolverhampton, especially first 45 minutes. They ended up drawing the match, but goodness me, after half-time I thought they were going to score 3 or 4. Very exciting, and there's a lot of empty seats there. I promise you, come kick-off, that's going to be almost full.
All right, gentlemen, we'll talk more in a moment, but of course Sky Sports 3 was here at Molineux just 48 hours ago as Wolves attempted to pull back a 2-goal deficit against Swindon in the League Cup. Commentator Alan Parry.
Corica, and it goes from Osborn, and then from Thompson, out to Venus. Cross finding Roberts, was that a handball? The referee says no, and the shot is deflected in by Osborn, and Wolves have pulled the goal back already. Useful ball towards Thorne, and Horlock's in behind him. That was a chance. Darris. Oh, good return ball from Darris, to Darris from Watson. And the cross finds Thorne, far post. That was the opportunity for Swindon to give themselves vital breathing space. Now, here's a chance for Bull. Froggatt. There's one for Roberts to go for. And the goalkeeper did the right thing. 6-7 Wolves players in this attack. They've got to get it in the box. Venus does just that. And the header down, almost found full. Comes out again to Osborn. Great effort. Good save by Talia.
Yes, well done to Swindon. They go through to the next round. Bad result for Wolves, but they'll be definitely looking to bounce back tonight in the First Division. These are the players arriving. What do you think, Alan Ball, about the chances of Wolves getting automatic promotion this season?
Well, I think Molineux could become a fortress, and if they win the majority of the home games, and pick things up away. I think they've got a good chance. They've certainly got the following, and I think it's about time that they went on and did it. But it's going to be a long, hard slog for them.
20,000 plus crowds they get, Alan. It's amazing, really, isn't it?
Oh, it's a fantastic setup, and they've tasted success, Wolves, you know, but it's been a long time now. But to really get behind the side, I think they've got a lot of belief in manager Mark McGee, and Steve Bull. I promise you, he looks so sharp. I think he's back to his best. I really do. I think he feels, yes, Premiership here we come.
Yep, well, they're all in their replica shirts tonight. It's such a common sight now, isn't it? Football grounds all over the country, and a big age range of supporters as well. Lots of young people now going to football.
Oh, definitely. Well, when you have stadiums like Molineux, you know, it does attract families to take their children. It's, you know, when it's primitive seating and standing and stuff like that. Hopefully, we're getting away from all that now. And without a doubt, families are coming back. The only problem now is it's still getting expensive.
Big night for Charlton tonight. Their team arrived just a few minutes ago. There's Alan Kirbishley. They need a result badly tonight, don't they?
I respect this guy. I played against him, Alan Kirbishley. I think he's very underrated as a manager. Not at Charlton, I should say. You know, I'm sure they're delighted with him. And I watched a lot of Charlton last season. Played fantastic football. You know, they've not got the big budget as the Wolves and stuff like that, but they will put up a good show tonight.
Well, Charlton were involved, of course, in that very controversial game at Main Road on Tuesday in Division 1. And we're going to see the goals, and it was a controversial game, wasn't it, Alan?
Well, they say so. You know, I was away, but since I've been back, I've been speaking to one of the people who went and said that they were a little bit fortunate to win City.
Charlton dominated for 82.5 minutes, and they took the lead in the 27th minute through Sean Newton. Good strike. Yeah? No?
Well,
you're a striker,
you know, he's delighted, but I think the keeper you've got to have a little chat with.
Yeah, it looks a poor goal to be beaten in near post.
This was a controversy. Is this a penalty?
No way. Absolute no way.
83rd minute.
You need a bit of luck in football, but then again, Charlton are very unlucky here, and you can see players often disagree with referees. But watch this. Okay, there's a little bit of connect. You know, they have collided, but that's not a penalty. That's just a challenge.
You could have done with that, a little bit of luck like that, couldn't you, Alan, when you were the manager there?
I had my fair share.
But it was one apiece. And then, 4 minutes later, Charlton were absolutely furious about this free kick, and we can show it to you from another angle in just a moment.
So they're not happy with the referee, are they?
Do you think the Charlton player lost his discipline there a bit? You know, last few minutes of a game, you're away from home.
That was a reckless tackle. Really poor tackle.
Jerry Craney puts it in 2-1 to Manchester City, and the referee, Trevor West, had to be escorted off the pitch at the end of the game. He was so unpopular.
I tell you what, with that suntan ball, he was down in Spain with you.
Yeah.
So the bottom of Division 1 after that game obviously seriously affected Charlton Athletic. There they are, second from bottom, and they really need a result tonight, because once you get into just a few games, if you can't pick up the points, you get sucked down at the bottom, and it's so hard to get out. Southend United are at the bottom, and the top half of the table, Wolves, if they win 3 goals clear tonight, they get 3 goals, they will go joint top. Bolton Wanderers top with 10 points, played 4. Stoke City, of course, played 4, 10 points as well. And we saw Alan Kirbishley arriving with the players just a few moments ago. He's now talking with George Gavin.
Alan, after last season, how surprised are you to find yourself one off the bottom?
Well, we're not used to it, that's for sure. We normally get off to a good start. 5 seasons I've been at the club, we're normally in the top 6, let alone being in the bottom 6. But it's early days, and it's something we're not used to and something we don't like.
How outrageous was your defeat on Tuesday at Manchester City?
It's been well documented, George, that we felt a little hard done by 1 or 2 decisions what went on. But for 85 minutes we were the best side, and we'd done enough to have won it, and we should have won it. It was our own fault that we wasn't 2 or 3 up, and if you don't finish teams off when you dominate like that, then something might go wrong. In this case, it did.
I know you can't say too much individually, but what's your view overall of refereeing standards this season?
Well, it just seems to me that, especially in our league, I don't know what it's like underneath us, but we don't see the same ref 2 weeks running. You know, it's always someone new for us. And you look at the Premiership, and perhaps the Premiership captured all the top refs and put them in there. And you know, we're left with the people that are learning in the game and perhaps making 1 or 2 mistakes. So it's a bit difficult. I don't blame any ref individually. I mean, they don't do it on purpose. I'm sure they don't. But if you'd have been there Tuesday night, it'd have been very frustrating.
How much do you miss a player of the quality of Richard Rufus, Alan?
Well, I think Richard, we've lost 2 players to be fair out of the side from last year. Lee Bowyer's gone to Leeds and Richard Rufus is out injured. But we've got to pick that up and we've got to get on with it. And Phil Chapple came in on Tuesday and played ever so well. He's determined to keep his place, so he's in now and it's up to him to stay in. And when Richard gets fit, you know, I've got a little bit of competition in there.
Is this a daunting place or the perfect spot to start your season off?
No, I said to the lads before the Man City game, we're going to embark on 2 away games now where you're talking about Premiership stadiums, Premiership ambitions. Perhaps the players who we're playing against got Premiership ambitions as well and everything else. And we've got to go out and show that we can play. And I asked them to go out and not be intimidated at Man City and play football, and they did, because we're a very young side still. And I'm asking the same thing tonight. And I think you'll see that 1 or 2 of my players can play. We obviously need a result. I'd like to perhaps not play so well and win tonight, because the last 2 games, West Brom and Man City, we should have took 6 points and we haven't. And we need to get a win to get our season going.
Thanks, Alan. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Alan Kirbishley talking to George Gavin, who'd want to be a referee. Trevor West, who of course refereed that match when Charlton went to Manchester City, that was full of controversy. And on Wednesday, he was involved in another controversial match that you may or may not have seen at Norwich City. But he's not involved in the game tonight. We're at Molineux, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Charlton Athletic. Our build-up continues, and we talk to Alan Ball next. See you in a couple of minutes. Over on Sky Sports 1 tomorrow, last season's Big 2 meet in the Courage League. It's double winners Bath against bitter rivals Leicester. That's at 2 o'clock tomorrow on Sky Sports 1. Here on Sky Sports 3, our Friday night football comes from Molineux, Wolves against Charlton. And the kick-off, of course, is at 7:45. And a little interesting fact for you between these 2 clubs. Wolves have remained undefeated against Charlton at Molineux for 44 years. They'll be hoping to continue that record tonight, and Charlton will obviously be hoping to break that record and get themselves 3 points. Let's get the team news now. Here's George Gavin.
Good evening to you, Russ. Yes, both teams unchanged this evening from their midweek games. Let's first of all have a look at the Wolverhampton Wanderers team. Steve Froggatt, arguably the best player Wolves have had this season so far. The £1 million signing from Aston Villa, playing really well. He's number 3. Steve Bull has scored 4 goals, the captain so far this season. He's in form. But Ewan Roberts, the number 10, has yet to get off the mark for Wolverhampton Wanderers. On the bench, Hans Segers comes in as the goalkeeping sub. And for Charlton Athletic, well, they're without Richard Rufus this evening. Their England under-21 captain, injured, training for the team against Moldova. Anthony Barness is in his 2nd spell for Charlton Athletic. John Robinson scored for Wales against San Marino. Carl Leaburn has scored more than 50 goals for Charlton this season. And Bradley Allen, signed from Queen's Park Rangers for £400,000, is on the bench for Charlton this evening. And with me at the moment is Mark McGee, the Wolves manager. Mark, you can go top this evening. How important is that to you at this stage of the season?
Oh, I think it's important. I think that, you know, if you're not top, then you've still got a bit to go. As long as we're top, then we've got something to aim at, in a sense. We've got others who've got to chase us, put 1 or 2 other under pressure tomorrow to keep in touch. Well, I think it would be a big thing, even at this very early stage, for us to be top.
You saw Charlton lose against Manchester City. Do you expect them to be tougher tonight?
Tougher than against Manchester City? Well, I don't think they could have been. I think they did everything right against Manchester City. I think they were unfortunate to have a decision to go against them that eventually cost them the game, but I think they're going to be hard opposition. I believe your physiotherapist is wide for sound this evening. What's the thinking behind that? Well, it's really his own doing. He's very excited about it, David. You know, he thinks that it's going to be a benefit that if he's away over the other side here and he can you know, get over to us by the microphone exactly what the situation is, that someone's staying off or he needs to come on, you know, we need to talk or whatever it is. It's just it's going to quicken things up a little bit for us, and I mean, it's another part of the sort of high-tech age that we're in. How are you coping with the expectations here at the Molineux? Oh, I mean, I want the expectations. I mean, I want people to expect us to win tonight. We expect to win tonight regardless of how good Charlton are, and this club needs that. I think without that, this club wouldn't be the same club that it is. The expectation is a big part of this club. Ewan Roberts missed, I suppose, a sitter in midweek. Is his confidence draining a bit? No, I think that he's missed an almighty sitter. You know, there's no denying it, and he knows it. It was a chance that should have put us really at least into extra time. It didn't, and he's disappointed with that. But I think he's convinced, as we are, that his contribution so far this season has been significant. He's not scored the goals, but he's handed some, and he's carried a lot of weight for Bully. He's held the ball up well for us. He did the other night. He will start putting the ball in the net, and I'm still convinced, as I think everyone here, and I think even the crowd have seen what Ewan's prepared to do in terms of work. They're convinced that Ewan's a good signing.
Thanks, Mark. Back to the studio.
Thanks a lot, George. Mark McGee there, as forceful and as single-minded as he usually is. We'll be talking to Alan Ball, by the way, in just a moment. But first, let's give you some nationwide news that you may have missed during the day. Ray Wilkins has signed for Wycombe Wanderers and will make his debut against Luton at Adams Park tomorrow. Wycombe manager Alan Smith persuaded Wilkins to join the second division club on a game-to-game basis. Lou Macari has been named the nationwide First Division Manager of the Month for August. Stoke have taken 10 points from possible 12 and lie second in the First Division. Meanwhile, Brentford's David Webb and John Dean of Wigan have won the Divisions 2 and 3 awards. Brentford are joint top of the Second Division, whilst Wigan lead the third. And one other piece of news, former Blackburn and Tottenham goalkeeper Bobby Mims has joined Second Division Preston. In the studio tonight, Alan Brazil, and it's a great pleasure to have Alan Ball with us. Alan, you've had a week away, you've had a chance to think about things. A lot has been written and said about what's happened at Manchester City. There seems to be two schools of thought from 10 days ago when you went to Francis Lee's house, a week ago last Monday. Number one is that you were going there to see Francis Lee to actually hand in your resignation, and the second school of thought that's been suggested is that you went there and you had absolutely no intention at all of resigning, but it was almost a fait accompli. It was said to you, you know, Alan, I'm sorry, but your time is up at Manchester City. What exactly is the truth?
Well, the truth, quite simply, is that Francis rang me and said that he'd like to see me. I went to see him, and I hope, and I'm near certain, that he was getting pressure from all sides. And when I first joined him, I told him that if ever he was embarrassed with the situation with me, that we should talk about it, and because we're very good friends. That we did, and we thought we came up with the right thing.
When you joined the club, you were given 2 years, weren't you, to restructure the club and to get things moving. How come the way the ways have parted after 13 months? Well,
I was given 3 years actually, and I thought I'd done an awful lot of work. I thought there was an awful lot of work to be done. 15 years of inadequacy. Fabulous support, and apart from 15 minutes just prior to the half-time at Stoke, these supporters were fantastic to me. Indeed, I've done an after-dinner speech this week in Manchester, and they were marvellous again. They're fantastic supporters. I was put in there to get things right for them. There's an awful lot happened from a monster squad that I had. I'm only a little bit puzzled as to why people give up on me too very quickly after 3 games. And I think the pressure was mounted very significantly by the local newspaper, and that was taken on by people very quickly. And I think people behind Francis were putting him under a little bit of pressure.
So you're saying people on the board? Who are the people who are behind Francis Lee who are putting the pressure on?
Well, that's not for me to talk about. I'm only surmising that this happened.
What hurt you most? Was it that pressure from those people, or was it the fans turning against you, or was it the players just not performing?
No. You know, the society in this country is shocking at this moment anyway. And to be abused by lowlifes doesn't really bother me. The thing that does get you when you're trying to do a job, and unfortunately in the day and age of football in this country, we've got phone-ins, we've got fantasy leagues. Unfortunately, Andy Grace taught them a little bit too much about the game. They all want to be managers. There's no heroes anymore. The manager's there for fodder. He's not a person anymore to be looked up to. He's there to be ridiculed and laughed at. And unfortunately, that's a poor part of our game.
Francis Lee mentioned in a couple of articles that I read in the newspapers, I think while you were away, that player power at Manchester City came into the great scheme of things. What does he mean by that? Did you have trouble with the players?
No, it means your dressing room, and I was put in there to sort a dressing room out. This team that I inherited finished 5th bottom the season before I got there, and indeed were in the bottom 7, I think, the year before that, and in the bottom 8 the year before that. A lot of those players were still there, and a few of the players are still there. I was given a directive to sort it out and bring in as I was, and I was never interfere with it, whatever. I had problems right at the beginning of the season. After 11 games with 2 points, after 24, after the final 25 games, we finished up with sort of 39 points, I think, which in statistics would have put us in the top 10. But I had a lot of foreign players to bring in. I had problems with Kinclatz in the way he was accepted.
What do you mean about that? Are you saying that there were players there that maybe were jealous of his ability, what he could do on the pitch, and found it difficult to play with him?
To start with, we found it very difficult, or I found it very difficult to find an area for him to play in. And when things are going wrong in football clubs, as every manager knows, as Alan knows, excuses start getting trotted out, and this lad was the brunt of them to start with. I stuck by him. He's a fantastic footballer, and a great lad as well. I stuck by him, which is what a manager should do. And at the end of the season, you know what type of season he had. He had a marvellous season. But that was just one of the things that you had to sort out within a dressing room, which every manager has to do. Any man who goes into business, into a shop, or anywhere you go into a business, you have got to get it the way you want it, first of all. And, you know, OK, we started the season. We started with the win and 2 defeats. You can see what one win the other night did for them, albeit lucky. They're in the top half. They win on Saturday, and they'll go 3rd or 4th. And things can change quickly.
Did you have opposition within the dressing room to things that you as the manager of Manchester City wanted to do? Did you have players who were openly hostile to what you wanted to achieve?
No, I can say not. Only on one occasion last season, it was at Wycombe Wanderers after the game, we had a confrontation, a player and I, that was all. Other than that, you know, they accept what a manager has to say, and they've got on with it. In all fairness, I had a good working relationship day to day with most of them. Because
question marks or questions were asked, an awful lot of experience and good players left, didn't they? Terry Phelan, Niall Quinn, Keith Curle left, you know, Gary Flitcroft, not necessarily an older player, but a very talented player. And people were saying, well, is there a problem? Doesn't Alan get on with them?
No, that wasn't the case. That was business. And managers have to do these things. There's work to be done within a dressing room. I brought other players in. I brought quite a lot of players in.
Were you pressurised to sell those players, or
no.
was it was purely a business decision?
No, it was a decision made. When the right fee came in for players, we thought, I took it to my chairman and the board, and then I recommended it be done. And I've been backed, no problem on that score at all.
One of those players, Keith Curle, of course, now gone to Wolverhampton Wanderers, who was sold in the summer. You took away the captaincy from him, and there's one quote which I'd just like to recount to you, where he said that Francis Lee and yourself were blaming everybody but yourselves for the problems at Manchester City. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, he's got to have his own opinions on the situation, does Keith. The reason I took the captaincy off him was he was 33, coming up 34 years of age. I wanted a new captain to put in place for a long time, a long period of time, a young person, 24 years of age, he plays for his country. I thought it was time to put him in to look ahead, sort of thing, for 2 or 3 years. No, Keith can say, I think, what he wants to think. I'm the first person in my life, if I think I've done something wrong, I admit mistakes. I've admitted mistakes to players in dressing rooms. I've apologised to players after games. I've apologised in team talks and whatever. I don't blame anybody other than myself. And, you know, if he wants to think that,
I think it's very easy for players when things are going wrong. There's a lot of speculation about what is happening, what's wrong. They themselves might not be having the best of seasons, but I think players can easily follow newspapers, radio and telly and think, oh no, I'm not playing that bad, and start shouldering the blame on someone else. I think that's the easiest thing to do as a player.
Quite a few people in football hold the view that Francis Lee, apart from being chairman of Manchester City, would actually like to manage the club. Did you ever come up against anything like that? I know he's a great friend of yours. Did you always have complete control away from Francis Lee of what you did with the team?
Absolutely. He'd ask me my team, he'd never comment on it. We went out socially, we played golf quite a lot together. We spoke about the club, we spoke about people, players, on a marvellous day-to-day relationship. And I've left the club, and I've left a good friend. I think I've left correctly for him, and we'll remain friends. He never interfered in anything I wanted to do appertaining to the football side of that club.
What type of manager do you think Manchester City need now? We'll talk about your future in a minute, but...
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, my secretary, Julia, summed it up. You know, when I got there, she said, you're the 16th manager I've been under. in the time that she's been there. And you can't keep... It's quite easy for people to keep saying, get rid of the manager, get rid of the manager. There's got to be continuity, there's got to be stability. The best time I had as a manager was at Portsmouth, and I had the best results for any manager for 40 years. And I was there for over 6 years, where you can get into that club exactly what you want all the way through from your kids upwards. If you keep changing managers, you know, the manager picks the team, the punters invariably pick the manager. And it's getting very, very easy now for that to happen all through our game. And you see all the clubs that are struggling, they've had manager after manager after manager, and there's no continuity. What they need, whoever it may be, and he's going to a fantastic club, a very, very warm, open, fantastic, probably too open at times, fantastic club with great support. But he has got to be left alone to go, whatever decisions he makes, how he goes about it, whatever. Let him get on with it and do it. I was let get on with it, and I think behind the scenes something happened which I don't know about.
Do you think it was a start, Alan? Because on paper it was a hard start, wasn't it? Ipswich home, Bolton away a hard one, Stoke away. Had it been an easier start, you might still be there.
Alan, it could have been. It's the you know, the expectancy, as Mark said here, of a big club. They say, yeah, fine, but you know, be a little bit more patient.
Oh, certainly.
You know, they're in a worse situation now with no manager.
Sure.
You know, nobody looks as if they want to go. People are putting question marks against the club. What's the matter with it? You know, there's nothing the matter with it, but the track record of managers is shocking.
It's a huge club as well, Ross.
Oh, it is.
And it doesn't help when the side or the other side of the city are doing so well. Man United, that's added pressure. The fans are getting, a ribbing at work and stuff, and it all adds up.
Do you fancy being a manager again? Sorry to interrupt, because it could be one disappointment too far for you, what happened at Manchester City, or do you think that you're going to get over it and you'll want to get back into the game?
At this moment in time, I think I'll be history. I'm looking forward to having my own space. It's not, you know, it's not that I fall out of love with the game at all, but you know, I think it's about time that I look at something else. If something else come up, well, I'd have to think about it, but at this moment in time, I'm not in that frame of mind.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Alan, for talking to us about the situation at Manchester City. I suspect we'll be referring to him as the comeback kid before long. But we'll talk more a little bit later on. Our main match tonight, of course, here on Sky Sports 3. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Charlton Athletic. Wolves, such a fantastic club with great tradition, big ambition as well. And Charlton, second from bottom of the First Division, in desperate need of 3 points tonight. Otherwise, they start getting sucked right down there into trouble. Alan Kirbishley will be hoping for another good performance tonight. But let's hear from the Wolves supporters now, see what they think.
I think they've had an interesting start to the season. It's a shame about the Coca-Cola Cup, but the only way is up now for the league, so let's hope they can do it.
It hasn't been a bad start. I think the first game at home was a bit dodgy, but we've settled down a bit now, so hopefully we can get a good result tonight and put ourselves well on the way.
Considering the injuries we've had at the start of the season, we've done really well to get 2 wins and a draw under the belt in the first 4 games. A bit worried about Swindon, but it's Coca-Cola Cup, we're not worried about that. We want to get in the Premiership.
If we can just get these decisive goals that we're, just to win the game. That is the problem with us. We're drawing all the time. We can't afford to throw 2 points away every game. So once Bully and Ewan find the net, I think we'll reach the Premier, and then they can watch out.
It's our golden wedding soon, and we're hoping to be able to put the team out on the field or be the mascot when it's our 50th anniversary, which we've got to ask the club yet whether they'll let us do it or not. But I absolutely love the Wolves. No matter whether they go down first, second, third division, I still love the Wolves.
Yeah, that's lovely, isn't it? See, proper football fans, they really are so passionate, aren't they, Alan, about their club, Wolverhampton Wanderers fans?
Well, believe it or not, that was the very first club I joined as a kid. At 15 years of age, was the Wolves, we understand colours. And then, they were a big club then, and they still are, and that type of person, with them all the way through, thick and thin.
She probably remembers when you were there.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. Well, she didn't look that old, though, did she, that lady? But anyway. OK, let's have a look at a few of the players to watch out for tonight, starting with the one and only Steve Bull, of course. He scored 17 hat-tricks in his career to date at Wolverhampton Wanderers. You're a striker, Alan. How good is he?
He's very good. He's desperate to play at the top flight. He wants a bit of this Premier. 17 hat-tricks, I can't help thinking there could have been 25 if he'd just slow himself down in the final strike inside the box. He's got a habit of getting in great positions. He terrorised defenders. Sometimes he just snatches at chances. And if he could just take that second longer, he will certainly get a lot more goals. But he's going to be a big threat to the Charlton defence tonight.
On the first Saturday of the season, he got his 17th hat-trick in a Wolves shirt, and the finishing brilliantly clinical, wasn't it?
Well, you know, that's great. That's the outside of the right foot. A lot of people feel he's just a big, powerful lad. But that was delicate, you know, just a little clip with the outside of the right foot. But I promise you, you see him tonight, he loves getting on these balls, and that's a quality finish. Not only is he on the end of it, in behind the defenders, he spotted the goalkeeper off his line. And look at the celebration. He desperately wants a bit of the Premiership. Froggatt makes a big difference, but look at this for a strike. You know, just took a touch, knew where the keeper was, right foot strike, bang, straight in the back of the net.
He also got a winning goal against Bradford City. 4 goals in the league so far.
Very hungry. It's interesting we're talking about his strike partner, Ewan Roberts. I don't see him as a prolific goal scorer, but I do see him taking a lot of the weight off Bullen.
Now at the other end of the team, of course, Dean Richards, a much talked about player, is interested in an awful lot of clubs. Alan, what's your view of Dean?
Well, he's come and done very well. He's a good footballing centre-back. I haven't seen an awful lot of him, but we did play them in pre-season last year, and he impressed me with his, you know, his ability to get the ball down and play. And obviously he's done very well last year because he's been picked in one of the England junior sides, hasn't he?
Good young player. We'll look forward to seeing him at the heart of the Wolves' defence tonight. Now, Steve Froggatt joined from Aston Villa. He's made 44 appearances for his first club, played under Ron Atkinson, of course, and has got a couple of England under-21 caps. This is a good opportunity, Alan, isn't it, for Steve?
Yeah, terrible injury. Got himself back, as I said earlier in the programme. A couple of weeks ago I watched him against QPR, and he is the key to supplying down the left-hand side the balls into the box, especially the aerial balls to the likes of Roberts and Bull. And if he's having a good game, I always feel that Steve Bull's going to have a good one.
Now, you were talking about Ewan Roberts. It's going to be interesting to see how his partnership with Steve Bull shapes up. Steve Bull is very confident. He reckons that Ewan Roberts will get at least 20 to 25 goals this season. Is he being over-optimistic?
I think so. I hope I'm wrong for Ewan Roberts' sake, but I can't see him getting the 25 goals, no. But I can certainly see him helping Steve Bull into 25 goals. He's a big, strong, tough lad, likes to put his head there, holds the ball up. But Alan Ball, we were chatting earlier, and Alan was saying that when he holds it up and lays it off, sometimes he has a job getting into the danger area to get on the end of crosses. But I think it'd be a good partnership. As long as they stay injury-free, then they will hurt a lot of defensives.
No, it's not a one-sided affair tonight at all. Charlton have got their own danger men, notably in the shape of Carl Leaburn, of course. He's the club's longest-serving current player and the top league scorer last season with 9. Alan Kirbishley, with promotion ambitions, we would have thought, will be looking for a lot more from him, Alan, this season.
And he need a lot more goals coming from other areas as well. This lad again he's a towering lad. He's a real handful from dead ball starts, and people pick a lot of things off him, you know, in and around the box. Not the most elegant of footballers, but again very, very awkward to play against and handle. You can see he's head and shoulders above Kit Simons there, and Kit's over 6'2". Yeah. He is a handful.
Let's talk about David Whyte now of Charlton Athletic. Another big, strong lad.
Very, very quick, very powerful. But, you know, I think it said, 9 goals was the top scorer. That's not enough. And David Whyte, he'll be trying to link this partnership up with Leaburn. And I think if they start, you know, you heard the Wolves boys saying they want 20 goals apiece almost. Well, that is a great scoring rate, and I think Charlton could certainly do with that. They're a lovely passing team, lovely footballing side, and they'll want a few more strikes like that, perhaps hitting the target. But Whyte, he's a threat, he's a busy player, looks to play people in like that little pass there. And, you know, that's what Charlton are all about. They need more goals.
OK, quick prediction. Who's going to win?
I think Wolves will win. I think Wolves' first half will get on top of Charlton. And it's always sad when you're playing well not getting the result. Alan?
I think they'll win as well. With the home crowd and they've got their tails up, it looks a home win to me.
OK, that's what the lads think. We're going to see the first half very shortly. Let's join our commentary team now, of course. Wolves against Charlton in the commentary box. Dave Bassett and Rob Hawthorne.
And welcome to Molineux. I think the Wolves programme could become a bestseller if Mark McGee continues to be controversial in his notes. But Dave, can you understand the point that he was trying to make in getting the crowd on his side for the change of style that he's attempting to introduce here?
Well, a manager uses the programme notes to communicate with the fans, obviously to get over whatever he wants, whatever message. But I think the fans will see that Mark's style of football's been evident for last season and this season on what's required. And, he obviously feels that through his notes that he wants to get the message to them, give me time, support me, and that's important for any manager to actually relate his thoughts.
Well, Wolves won the match but lost the tie in the Coca-Cola Cup against Swindon 48 hours ago, but see no reason to change the team. Keith Curle and Mark Emblin continue the road to recovery. Curle has still to make his debut, so Mark Venus, who's drawn praise from the manager for his performances so far, continues in the defensive trio with Richards and Atkins. Up front, Steve Buller's hogged the goal so far, but surely Ewan Roberts will break his duck before too long.
Yes, well, Ewan's a good lad. He was at Watford when I was at Watford that period of time, and he was a young lad making his mark at that particular time. And I think the point which Alan Brazil said is that Ewan sometimes has spurts of goals. I'm not sure he's going to be prolific throughout the season on a regular basis, but he's very, very hard working, and he's a good foil. And I think he will be a good foil for Steve Bull because he will be able to feed off of him. And I think his work will also allow Corica and Thompson and Osborn to get goals through, coming through the middle, and Ewan does very well to pull off to the far post, and it's not a surprise, as Mark McGee said, he's quite pleased with Wolves' performances, that the team hasn't changed.
Despite a disappointing return of 1 point from their first 3 games, Charlton stay loyal to the 11 that began the controversial midweek defeat at Main Road. In fact, the only change made this season was forced upon them by a knee injury to Richard Rufus when he was with the England under-21 squad. So Phil Chapple, who's scored a goal and an own goal in matches against Wolves in recent seasons, partners captain Stuart Barmer in central defence.
Yes, Charlton are adapting their 4-4-2 system, which they've stood by for a couple of seasons, and it's well worked for them. And they rely on Leaburn and Whyte to create some problems up front. And Leaburn, again, unfortunately, is not a prolific goal scorer, but he is a handful at set plays, and they use him when they want to be direct and get it hitting the front early and then feed off him. But then one's got to look at the likes of Jones and Mortimer making breaks through. K.Jones has replaced Boyer, basically, and he makes some very, very good runs. And the 2 wide players, Newton and Robinson, are very, very hard working. They get forward, but at the same time, they do a lot of good defensive work. And, they were impressive midweek. I saw them at Manchester City, and really, they feel that they were unjustly beaten, and today's an important game for them because really, they'll only have 1 point if they don't win tonight, and that means they've got to win their next 2 home games.
Molineux, an intimidating place to come to, an impressive arena, worthy of being in the Premiership. But as has often been proved in the past, no team has a divine right to be there. You have to earn that right. And Wolves looking to take another step along the road. Gold and black, one of the most famous strips associated with the team in all 4 divisions of the league. But is the road paved with gold or paved with black for Wolves this season as they bid to get promotion at last? Wolves against Charlton on Sky Sports 3, coming up after the break.
Friday night football here on Sky Sports 3. We're at Molineux. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Charlton Athletic, battling it out for 3 vital points. Lovely evening for football. Settle back and enjoy the first half. Here's your commentary team, Dave Bassett and Rob Hawthorne.
Both teams have had cause to complain about match referees in their last league matches. Tonight's official is Bill Burns from Scarborough. Wolves were unhappy about a penalty given against them, and one that they weren't given at Norwich in their last league match, while Charlton hotly disputed the awards of a penalty and a free kick that turned a 1-0 lead into a 2-1 defeat against Manchester City at Main Road on Tuesday. But they say these things even themselves out over the course of a season. We shall see what happens tonight as Charlton get the match underway. They're the team in the red tops. Wolves in that traditional gold and black, although the current form of the Wolves strip leads you to think of bibs over black shirts in training matches, and you Thompson, displaying the latest fashion.
I must confess I prefer the Wolves all gold shirt that they've worn in the past, but designers decide otherwise with football kit now.
Roberts making a climb, and it was well kept in. Roberts using his vast strength, giving Barness some early problems. Osborn trying to feed Jamie Smith. Got some pace of Smith, but he's run it too far into Mortimer. Kept it in well, looking to cut it back to Thompson. Headed away as far as Simon Osborn, and Roberts.
That was a good early attack by Wolves. Jamie Smith did well down the right-hand side. He had a bit of good fortune, but he got the cross in, and Wolves had their heavy guns in there, Ewan Roberts and Ball, and Chapple does well to actually get the header away there. And, you know, it comes out, they move out quick, and Ewan Roberts is offside. But it's a little bit close in actual fact. I didn't realise a Charlton player was still coming up.
Smith was still coming back from an offside position, but whether that could have been judged an active area is questionable. Now by Thompson. Here's Barness, entering his second spell at Charlton after a time away at Chelsea. Snagged in Newton's legs, but he's done well to retrieve it. The real terriers in that midfield area at Charlton, as they proved at Main Road the other evening. Jones and Mortimer gave the Manchester City midfield no time at all to settle.
I think these would be one of the incidents where they'd be looking to hit their big players in Balmer, Chapple and Leaburn, and pick up the next ball and hope for a chance.
Robinson with a free kick, and the Wolves defence very disciplined in its withdrawal.
Yeah, they've used the tactic well to come out and leave the Charlton players in there. One of the Wolves players was nearly a little bit late, but the referee was correct, it was offside.
Charlton have been concerned about the number of goals they've been conceding from set pieces. Wolves gave them no change from that free kick. Here's Mortimer. Whyte on the chase, but he's always going back to Mike Stowell. Paul Mortimer. The layoff from Leaburn. Support is provided by Stuart. It's Jamie Stewart again, and Richards idly in the way. Robinson. Richards, much admired player, with much talk of offers from the higher division of the Premiership for Richards, but Wolves have made plain their determination to hang on to him.
Yes, I'm sure Mark McGee's going to want to hang on to all his best players. They're a big club, there's no advantage for them to sell if they've got money available for players, which they had this summer, and they want to keep their side up to strength for obvious reasons.
By ball after it had gone over Roberts' head. Jones. And now Newton. Barness pushing up on the outside, but Venus was there. Jones. Anthony Barness. No real threat provided by the cross, and the opportunity for Smith, who's already shown his pace early on, to break again. Wolves have been encouraged by Mark McGee to indulge a little bit more in their build-up play, looking for a smooth passing game. This is Corica, too short for the ball, and the clearance affected by Barness. from David Whyte is penalised.
I don't think there's any complaints there. Dean Richards likes to come out of the back and join in for Wolves on that, and he does it quite effectively. But it's given away a free kick in one of those dangerous positions where, again, Wolves can use one or two of their good headers like Roberts and Richards up front.
Osborn it is who's taken it. There's a little gap there for Roberts that suddenly opened up, but it wasn't the direction that he would have hoped for on the free kick from Osborn.
Yeah, we see Osborn. I think he's decided to take it a bit quick and look for Ewan Roberts. It looks like something probably between the two of them they've worked out to get a quick free kick played if possible.
Osborn and Steve Bull, the only players to have scored for Wolves so far this season in the 6 matches that they've played. Osborn has got the last 2 goals that Wolves have scored against Queen's Park Rangers and against Swindon in the week. Name of Andy Thompson. Anthony Barness with the throw-in. Jones neatly pulling away from Corica. Header away by Mark Atkins. This is Bull. Roberts up in support. Outnumbered by Charlton defenders as Bull takes it wide. Smith is coming forward to offer himself. He's gone wide. Gets in towards Ewan Roberts, but over his head. Watched to safety by Stuart Balmer and then cleared by Barness. Wolves having trouble getting into their rhythm. This is Robinson, the layoff to Paul Mortimer. Mortimer seemed to be looking for the shot originally, sets it up instead for Leaburn. Now Whyte, can he dance his way through? Wolves' defensive resilience proving hard to break down, and that was a good challenge by Steve Froggatt. Holding Newton at bay. Venus with the clearance. Barness. This is John Robinson. And now Chapple for Charlton. Asking a lot of Stewart to get there, and sure enough, Jamie Stewart, one of the real promising finds in this Charlton team. They really do seem to unearth them, don't they? Stewart, along with Richard Rufus, and the now departed to Leeds, Lee Bowyer.
Yes, they've
kept at under 21 level.
They've done very well, Charlton, with a lot of their youth, and there's a possibility like Jamie Stewart could be involved in the under 21. So if Rufus is going to be there as well, Alan Kirbyshire will have a few more problems with his under 21 games.
Yes, it really is a double-edged sword for them. They like their players to get recognition. Over the years, they've been a selling club, so it's useful to bring these players through.
Well, admitted also, Sean Newton, as you rightly said, Rob, was under 21 as well, so that's 3 players that could be out. I hope they're playing Charlton that weekend.
Kirbyshire, of course, also loses the services of John Robinson whenever the internationals come round, as he's very often on duty with Wales, as he was last week. Scored his first international goal, in fact, on San Marino. Whyte. There's Stewart. Mortimer. Jones looking to line up the shots, and Stowell forced to push it away. Jones tried to strike where it hurt, but Stowell equal to the effort.
Good build-up by Charlton. They'd passed the ball well, and Jones has moved forward into midfield. He's attacked the space, he's hit a good shot, and Stowell's taken no chances of trying to hold it, and sensibly he's pushed it away.
Stowell, a goalkeeper who's been under some pressure, with a lot of talk about Wolves looking for a new goalkeeper. There was a lot of talk in the summer about Neville Southall coming in. Eric Torsved's name was linked, but so far the only man brought in, and that's as cover, is Hans Segers, who's on a month's contract. Venus. And this is Stewart. John Robinson. Whyte. Well, Charlton's work rate is very impressive. Wolves knew they were in for a tough game as they approached this one. They certainly weren't deceived by Charlton's results this season. There's 1 point from their opening 9, but now can Wolves pierce open this defence? It's Bull. Held off well. Steve Bull will always be regarded as a danger, but Phil Chapple well aware of that, subduing the threat.
I think Charlton will be generally pleased with their start. They've got some good passing movements, but having said that, you know, Wolves do look a little bit dangerous on the break, and Steve Bull's making some good runs from inside to out, and you know, looking for the balls down the side where he can cause a few problems. But obviously he doesn't want to be doing all the crossing, because his main threat is obviously sticking the ball in the net.
Bull has already stuck 4 goals in the net this season, 3 of them on the opening day at Grimsby. That time might be against him in his dream of playing in the Premiership. Mark Atkins, who was playing in the Premiership not so long ago and actually winning the title with Blackburn, giving away a free kick here. Leaburn, Whyte, Chapple all waiting at the edge of the penalty area for the free kick, which the captain Stuart Barmer takes, and again they've pulled out.
Yeah, it's interesting because 1 or 2 of the Charlton players had actually sussed that Wolves were going to do that, but a couple of the Whyte and Leaburn were a little bit slow on that one, and you know, they're looking for it, and what Charlton may have to do is have a little touch on the ball before they actually do it. In actual fact, Carl Leaburn wasn't under the Sean movement.
Wolves at the moment getting their timing right. Osborn riding the challenge of Jones well. And he's a real terrier, isn't he, Mortimer? Came back to tackle Roberts. Clearance by Balmer. Given away by Whyte. Now Andy Thompson. Perhaps for Wolves to get some flow into the move. They're looking for ball, crucially cut out by Barmer. It was the service from the left flank that brought Bull his hat-trick on the opening day. Froggatt the man then, Thompson the man this time getting the cross in.
Yeah, it was a little bit of messy play, but Thompson did well with the ball, and he swung a good cross in there. And it is one of those very tight decisions, but the linesman was in a good position, and his flag was up very quickly.
Have so far been very well organised at the back. Stewart. Seems as though Charlton have decided that the way they are going to crack this Wolves defence is with shots from outside the area. That one less successful than Keith Jones's earlier.
Yeah, that was a bit hopeful from Jamie Stewart. Never really fancied he was going to hit the target with that shot, but what you can see is that Charlton are asking their full-backs to come into the space, because Wolves are not playing with any particular wide players other than their full-backs, and they're obviously occupied with Charlton's wide players.
I think it was the lack of use of the wing-backs that was most criticised by Mark McGee in his appraisal of the midweek performance against Swindon in the Coca-Cola Cup. He wants more service to the likes of Froggatt and Smith.
Well, I think that's obvious, because if he's going to get good service for Ewan Roberts and Ball, you know, they do need crosses.
Well, the central defenders holding their disciplined line to catch Leaburn offside. It's well marshalled by Richards. Roberts, here's Bull, running into trouble, but it's Osborn. And he got a deflection for the goal against Swindon here in the week, but not so lucky this time. Osborn's previous goal this season against Queen's Park Rangers was directly from a free kick. And are 4 of the 5 goals that Charlton have conceded this year that have come from set pieces, so that's clearly something that Alan Kirbishley will be wanting to tighten up on. Barness clearance hits Steve Froggatt. Froggatt, a player who in his time at Wolves has been really unlucky with injuries, but with the sort of start to the season that he made in having all the assists for Bull's goals, they'll be hoping that he steers clear of those niggling problems during the course of this campaign. David Whyte. Oh, they held it up well, and they've set Stuart away here. Crosses aimed towards Leaburn and Robinson. They got in each other's way. Jones' shot deflected back. Not too many players going for the same ball then, it seemed, Charlton. Stewart unable to keep that one in.
That was another example of where Jamie Stewart had got forward 3 wide and was able to get a crossing, and that was a better cross than his previous one. And obviously they're going to be work hard to do that, Charlton, to get a 2v1 situation against the wing backs of Wolves.
There's no reason why they should be, and Charlton certainly aren't overawed by any of the so-called bigger places that they go to. They performed very impressively in the match at Main Road in the week, turned around by 2 controversial decisions in the last 7 minutes, and they've started brightly and briskly here. No signs of a lack of self-confidence after their poor return from their first 3 matches. Smith giving away the free kick. Stewart didn't see much on, so launches it in towards Leaburn. Just wouldn't land for David Whyte. Here's Mortimer. Well, they put the pressure on, but the flick was still through, and Robinson, well, it was a good save anyway by Stowell, because he wasn't to know that the referee had already blown for the push.
We can see that Charlton had taken a short free kick there. This is a lofted ball in, and Whyte gets a little bit of a lucky break with the header, but that's one of those situations sometimes the referee goes with the defender in those. It didn't look too bad of foul.
So often in the past, Wolves have failed to live up to expectations when they've been named among the pre-season favourites for promotion. Whatever happens, their fate and the fate of the other First Division teams this year, you'll be able to follow it all with us here on Sky Sports. Charlton, despite supposedly being the smaller club, have actually been in the top division more recently than Wolves. Been amongst the big boys now for 12 years. 1984 when they were relegated along with Notts County and with Birmingham, and they've actually been right down to the basement since then. It's been a laborious process to claw their way back to this level, and so far they've hit something of a brick wall. One or two signs that the Wolves supporters are losing patience with this as Robinson clips it, and that's a magnificent save. Newton pulls it back across, and it's cleared by Richards. Stowell was reaching back then at full stretch to deny Robinson. Now has that stung Wolves into life. Here's ball, can't get past Barness. It would have been nothing more than Charlton have deserved, in all honesty. Stowell coming to Wolves' rescue.
Well, the natives are getting a little bit restless because Charlton are holding the ball. They've worked it forward and they've got the cross in again, and Stowell has pulled a very good save off from Robinson. That was difficult, and they should have really done just a little bit better when Newton regained the ball. I think Charlton are frustrating Wolves a bit like they did Manchester City the other night, and they're playing their controlled football, they're keeping the ball, and they're not getting impatient in trying to force the openings.
Strikers seem to be becoming more and more confident of lobbing and chipping goalkeepers who they see fractionally off their line, but Stowell had just left himself enough room to get back and claw the ball away. Pushed through by Whyte, Leaburn looking to get on the end of it. It's Barness, this time he's looking to chip the goalkeeper, and that one beats the goalkeeper at the top of the bar as well.
Yeah, it's just interesting whether the referee had given offside for Leaburn there, because when he went in on the challenge, Whyte plays a good little ball through, Leaburn's onto it, he hasn't quite got the legs of Richards wins a tackle, and you can see Leaburn's on the ground there, and then Barness lobbed it just over. He should have really finished, but I'm not sure whether... Oh no, the goalkeeper's taken it as on the 6-yard box, so it would have appeared that had it gone in, Leaburn wouldn't have been offside. Rightly so as well. That's two good chances Charlton have had, and they'll be ruining the misses. As you rightly said, Rob, you know, they don't seem to have been affected by those two late goals at Manchester City. They've started very well, and I think Alan Kirbishley would be very pleased.
It's Osborn's free kick. Richards, and good clearance by Sean Newton. Push out quickly to Charlton. And using the width of Stewart well.
I mean, Charlton did very well here last year in the league and the Coca-Cola Cup, and Leaburn got sent off in one game, and they held on and drew that game and got a replay, and both times they played at Molineux, the games, they acquitted themselves very well.
Stowell is the man who's kept Wolves in the match at the moment with this save.
Yes, this is the cross that comes in, and we can see that Leaburn gets a... Oh, David Whyte gets a touch on, and Robinson gets in.
Ball pushing through, and the angle was awkward for him, and Salmon drove the ball away with his feet.
A little bit of watching the replay and trying to watch the game now.
Flung in by Richards, headed away by Chapple, just as Roberts behind him was waiting his moment. Well, has that little spell of concerted pressure produced the right sort of response from Wolves? They've been a little lethargic in the opening exchanges. And at least a 1-0 scoreline for Charlton wouldn't look out of place on the pressure that they've had and the territorial supremacy.
Charlton goalkeeper Salmon hasn't actually had a shot to save. Wolves have looked dangerous on a couple of crosses, and that seems to be their best route at the moment, but they've got to get people wide and forward to get the crosses in for Ewan and Steve Ball.
Ball back by Stewart, it was just behind Whyte. And a clearance by Osborn finds Ewan Roberts. They've struggled to reach the sort of tempo demanded of them so far, but at last Froggatt with an opportunity, but Newton really matched him in coming back to make the tackle.
Yeah, young Newton's a quick little player, and you know, matched him stride for stride there.
Froggatt this time has got through, and it's the cross that lets Wolves down on this occasion. But he's going to have a tough time with Newton tracking back, because he's a pretty versatile player, is Sean Newton. He does currently play on the right side of midfield, but he has played at full-back.
Yes, he's a hard-working player who gives his full-back a lot of support in the system they play, and he is quick, but you know, Froggatt's a dangerous player on that left-hand side, and I'm sure Mark McGee wanted him and Jamie Smith to push on and you know, get these crosses in.
The next Nationwide League action coming up after this here on Sky Sports 3 is on Sunday. Join us at 12 noon for the Thames Valley Derby. Reading against Oxford will be at Elm Park. Given away by Bull. This is Whyte. Mortimer. Now Stewart. Stuart Barmer. Number 9, Robinson. Smith not leaving his shoulder, but he's somehow found a way through as John Robinson. Osborn providing some defensive insurance. Newton. Oh, lovely turn. He's away from Froggatt. It was a great moment of skill from Newton, even if the final cross left him very disappointed.
Yeah, he did very well in a tight situation. He knew what he was doing, that Froggatt was tight up him, and he's taken it very nicely on the instep there and spun it in behind. Very, very good skill. Unfortunately, as you say, the cross wasn't up to the required standard as the other skill.
The only point that Charlton have managed to claim so far from their 3 matches was against opposition from this neck of the woods, West Bromwich Albion, although it was on their home ground at the Valley. Osborn finding Bull. Fell behind Andy Thompson. Here's Venus. They're playing patiently, but the edginess amongst the supporters is starting to filter through. Here's Corica. And he took a hopeful stumble, looked back at the referee, and no free kick was awarded by Bill Burns. Atkins. Ewan Roberts. Simon Osborn. Richards. Well, they're at least starting to string some passes together now. It's not helping them to make a great deal of progress at the moment. But there really is no room for them to settle. Charlton are pressing so well in that area. Mortimer. Oh, he's round Venus. Well, there was support for him in the box, but he couldn't squeeze it across.
Well, we see Mortimer after receiving the ball. He's taken Venus on. He's done well. He should have actually played the ball in one touch earlier. Having that extra touch allowed Venus to get back and get the challenge.
Venus actually took a whack on the ankle, I think, Dave, in that challenge with Mortimer. He's hobbled away from it.
Yeah, he went in fully committed. He may have just twisted himself also.
A little bit of ankle trouble anyway. Ball is offside there.
I think the Wolves strikers are giving the linesman the look as if, am I offside?
Well, I don't think it was a decision they could have had too many complaints about. McGee does feel that Bull and Roberts are starting to settle down as a partnership, and could have been problems there for Atkins. Newton was racing forward. Thankfully Stowell was on his guard for Wolves. Here's Richards. What a space out on that right hand side. It's a purposeful move. Can Corica find a way through? He ran straight into trouble. Whyte. Robinson has made a good breakthrough. It was a crucial touch from Mark Atkins. And now Ball is offside again.
That was good approach play by Charlton, but David Whyte had been disappointed because his final ball was careless. Robinson had made a good little run, and a bit more care and attention with the pass through would have caused an embarrassment to Wolves, because Robinson would have been through on goal.
Before that break from David Whyte, another indication that Corica was more keen to go through the centre than use the width provided by the wing backs, and it didn't get Wolves anywhere. Leaburn chesting it down well. Jones with the shot, and yet again he tests Stowell.
That's a good save by Stowell because it was a deflection. The ball's fed into Leaburn, which they like to do. He's got a good chest layoff, and Mortimer's followed up with a good shot, and has taken the deflection there. As you can see, he's gone through actually the legs and taken the deflection, so that's a good save. It could have actually, with a bit of luck, Charlton might have got a better deflection and got the goal. That was good refereeing. Ewan Roberts was backing into Chapple there, and the referee read that perfectly correct.
Stowell has been the busier of the two goalkeepers. A couple of times has been called upon to save from Jones, and also that lobbed effort from John Robinson. Free kick for the challenge on Steve Bull. Atkins. Corica. Well, he tried to get it wide to Smith. Robinson in the way. Here's Richards. Smith. Seems to be having some joy. He's beaten off Stewart. It's the final delivery this time that lets Wolves down.
Another example where some good skill to get in. Young Smith takes him on, he knocks it past, he's good control. He leaves Stuart for dead there, and now it's got to be a decent cross, and he's hit the pieman.
Mark McGee off the bench, he made an impassioned plea to the supporters for patience, which were the programme notes that got him into trouble. And although the supporters' patience has held for the last couple of matches here against Swindon and Queen's Park Rangers, there's been one or two signs in this first half that it's wearing a little thin. Richards. And again Dean Richards. Sure, Wolves wouldn't want to make too much of an excuse of it, but you do wonder how much the extra day that Charlton have had since their last match has helped, because some of the final balls that have been flung in by Wolves have had a very tired look about them.
Certainly Charlton's passing and possession play has been infinitely better than Wolves. I mean, I'm reiterating what I said earlier, but if Stuart and Roberts and Ball are going to get the service, Wolves have got to get into those wide positions and get those crosses in.
Venus wasn't really sure where that was going after it glanced off his head. Not too much on ahead of Corica. He has to hold it up, and he times the run of Smith just well. Corica coming in to offer support. Osborn, and Corica has stayed forward. Thompson's in the box. It's played behind him though. Well, they look exciting when they're dashing down the flanks, but so often the last pass has been a grave disappointment to Wolves. Atkins tangling with Newton. Osborn. Smith. Ball staying onside this time. His strike partner Roberts has gone into the box. Cut out by the tackle of Chapple.
That was a good run by Ball. He realised he was going offside. He bent his run to come back onside and got in nicely then. That sort of run causes defenders a lot of problems.
Roberts having to wait then a little longer. Corica. Cross from Richards this time. Now can Roberts benefit? A great chance here. It's pushed out. Chance for Corica going in. Corica goes down and the referee gives the penalty.
Yes, the first feeling was it was a penalty. He got the tackle from behind, but we saw what happened there when Wolves got the cross in. Richards hits a long ball in diagonally. Ewan Roberts gets a good header, and I think is it Thompson that's followed up there, and then we see Corica. It's difficult to say from this angle actually whether it was a penalty, but those challenges are always difficult for referees to assess when they're behind the play.
Andy Thompson is Wolves' penalty king. 5 of his 6 goals came from the spot last year, and he's got another one this season. Huge relief for Wolves because the goal has come right against the run of play.
Yes, Andy Thompson's nice and confident, he takes penalties. The keeper's moved early and he's put that away with no problems. As you rightly say, Rob, you know, they've gone ahead against the run of play, but that often happens in football, and Charlton have got to pick themselves up now and try and get back into this game. They've created 1 or 2 goal-scoring opportunities, as long as they don't become too despondent. But having said that, I think the goal will give Wolves the sort of lift they want.
Well, Charlton had plenty of complaining to do about a penalty that was awarded against them at Main Road in the week. And they may feel unjustly served again by Bill Byrne's decision tonight for the push on Corica. That's for afterwards. For now, the priority for Charlton is to turn their pressure into a goal. Curled in by Barness towards Whyte. Stowell came out very confidently. The Wolves have ridden their luck, and was this a lucky break or was it justified?
Well, we see the good header going back in, and Thompson gets in there for the knockdown, and now we see Corica, is it on the ball? It's one of those that's very difficult. I think one can understand perhaps the referee giving a penalty, and one can say that the Charlton players didn't really protest too much, and sometimes that gives you an indication of whether it is a penalty or not.
The man in possession now. Stewart was the man stretching back when Corica went down. He may be a little rattled by the award.
It was interesting to say again that the Charlton players didn't surround the referee in particular protest, and that sort of leads me to think that perhaps they think it was a penalty.
And Kerbishley, no doubt, will have his own counsel on the referee's verdict. This time the free kick has been awarded for an offside. Stuart, the man who gave away the penalty, with the throw-in. Here's Whyte. Turned away by Mark Atkins. Mortimer. Jones looking to drive another one.
We see the ball goes to Jones, Mortimer in actual fact, I think, and he's high, wide and mighty with that one.
Well, what was the referee's view of the penalty incident when Corica went over?
Yes, he's there. He's possibly given it for a push or a nudge, but he seems to take his time and then be positive, so I think you have to accept some of those decisions in games. It's where they're really bad decisions that I think people get more frustrated.
Smith. Turned forward by Osborn. Just glanced off the top of Steve Ball's head. Leaburn going on the chase for it. Stowell had been the busier of the goalkeepers up until the penalty award. Just before it, Salmon had made a good flying save from that header from Andy Thompson, but couldn't keep out the spot kick. Here's Richards. Wolves perhaps gaining in confidence as a result of the goal. Corica. Smith. Venus curling it in. Ball! Full stretch, Steve Ball, but just couldn't fasten onto it.
Yeah, that's a very good cross in by Venus. It's whipped in, it's gone round the back, and I think the goalkeeper actually thought it was going out. We can see there he's got plenty of pace on it, and Steve Ball's going in there with the lunge and making a good effort to get in there. When that type of cross comes in, the goalkeepers have great difficulty in making a decision on whether to stay at home or come and attack it.
Mortimer. Leaburn. And again Leaburn. Here's Chapple. Barness found himself sandwiched. Here's Newton. Leaburn and Whyte in the middle. Robinson going to join them, but it's too close for Stowell.
I felt that was quite a good cross by Newton. I didn't really feel the two centre forwards, Leaburn and Whyte, really attacked the cross in the right way. They were rather static, and so Stowell was able to, collect it comfortably without too much problems.
The half-time whistle goes and the lead might be unjustified, but Andy Thompson's penalty has given Wolves a 1-0 advantage after Jamie Stewart's challenge back on Steve Corica was punished by the referee Bill Burns, who's engaged in conversation with him. But Wolves have reason to be grateful to Mike Stowell, almost replaced here in the summer, but he's made some vital first half saves to preserve Wolves' half-time lead over Charlton by 1-0.
Friday night football here on Sky Sports 3. We're at Molineux tonight. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Charlton. 1 goal for Wolves. They lead 1-0 at half-time. Maybe Charlton will feel a little bit aggrieved. Scored from the penalty spot. Andy Thompson, the scorer. Charlton more attempts on goal. Same amount on targets. But I think we'll all agree that Mike Stowell, Wolves goalkeeper, had a very good first half. 15 fouls, no bookings, no sendings off. And the action areas heavily in Charlton's favour. So a really good half, lads, for Charlton Athletic, really. I think Alan Kirbishley and his players will be feeling, weren't they, a little bit aggrieved to be down at half-time.
A good half, certainly, in terms of possession and chances, but, you know, I'm sure Alan will be very, very disappointed his side are 1-0 down. You know, we heard the story earlier about City, Man City and Charlton. They felt very unlucky, they were robbed. Is it going to be another case of that tonight? Mike
Stowell in the Wolves goal. He's been their #1 keeper for 6 years now, and I think we've seen tonight he's made some good saves, hasn't he?
He's been very busy. They hustled and bustled to start with. Charlton knocked Wolves out their stride, closed them down every opportunity. They've got in really good positions, and he's held things up for them well, Leaburn. As we said, he would be awkward. You know, things have come off him. Bits around the box are off him. When they've got it wide, the final ball in has been awful, and that's where they've fallen down. They've got in good areas, and you know they've thrown a lot of punches, but they've not balls on the floor yet.
Now, Mike Stowell's best save of the half, he made 2 or 3, but we reckon that this is the best one of the half, comes from John Robinson, and there was a bit of debate when we watched it here. Was that a deliberate chip, or did he miss-hit it? What do you think?
I think it's unanimous. Alan and myself, we both agree that this was, he's tried to take this in his stride. He's not meant this. This has come off his shin, I think. Just there.
He's going to take it between the two players. It's a great save, because you know them type of ones, he doesn't expect it. It looks as if the lad's going to take it between 2 players to get a strike on goal. It flew off his shin, and that was an excellent save. Good reflex save, that.
Now, the natives, Wolves, were beginning to get a little bit restless, weren't they? Mark McGee was beginning to look worried, and the incident that led to the penalty was quite interesting, because it was Roberts who was going to had a shot. And basically what happened was the ensuing melee in the penalty area resulted in the penalty, didn't it?
Long ball into the box. This is a fine header. He picks Thompson out there. That should have been in. Good stop with the keeper, but now who reacts quick enough? And there you can certainly see the fullback Stuart's a little bit out of position, half a yard behind, and in the end brings him down. But that's a good spot from Roberts. Now, Thompson's made a great run. He should score there, but watch now. The fullback is just half a yard too slow. In comes Corica. There's the challenge, there's the contact, and Dave Bassett said the Charlton players didn't argue with the referee, and this could be the winning goal. You know, it's they must feel very aggrieved that they're not 1 up, never mind 1 down.
Good penalty, Alan.
Yeah, took it well. Goalkeeper moved early, but I would be a bit disappointed if I were Alan Kirbishley with my left full back there. He's not round on the cover. The ball's come a long way in the air to the back post, where Roberts has knocked it down. Your fullbacks have got to be round when that ball's in there that length of time. And he's got caught, as Alan says. He's probably watching the ball and somebody's nipped in, and you know he's bundled him over.
It's a young side, Charlton. There's a couple of times I felt they've been ball watching, because Thompson, when he got in the header, his marker was ball watching, and Thompson enabled, he should have scored. But when the rebound came out, in come Corica, he reacted the quickest penalty.
There you are. That's the view of the boys at half-time. 1-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers. The second half is coming up, so we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Stay with us. Over on Sky Sports 2 tomorrow afternoon, British basketball's top team from last year, the London Towers, take on the Portuguese champions FC Porto in the Sainsbury Classic Tournament. Alan Shearer will be the guest of honour there after he's finished playing for Newcastle at Spurs. And that starts at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on Sky Sports 2. But here on Sky Sports 3 this evening, we're at Molineux. The half-time score, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Charlton Athletic 0. I wonder whether the Wolves fans are feeling happy. Let's find out with George Gavin.
Russ, the Wolves fans should be happy, but maybe they're a bit lucky. Let's find out. What do you think? Were Wolves lucky there to be a goal ahead?
Yeah, they're very lucky.
Not playing that well, are they? What about Andy Thompson? He came here on the same day as Steve Bull, didn't he? And yeah, people forget about Andy Thompson, don't they?
I do, yeah. Bully's a main man down here. But Tomo, he's been a great player over the years for the Wolves. Excellent player.
Not much coming from midfield, though. Let's get you saying here. Not much coming from midfield for Wolves, has there? Do you think it needs a change at half-time?
Probably, yes. Midfield's been very slack all season, so we need somebody in midfield who could win the ball and keep it, because the passing's been terrible at the moment.
Top of the table tonight, if they win by 3 goals. Can they win by 3? Can they score 2 more goals?
He's a Bull again, hat-trick.
Bully for a hat-trick?
Yeah.
Maybe Andy Thompson can get 3 penalties. Andy Thompson, the man who scored the goal. Let's hear the Andy Thompson shout.
Oh dear. They love Steve Bull, but they love Andy Thompson at the moment because he scored the penalty. The big talking point, of course, of the first half was the incident that led up to the penalty being awarded. Still a penalty, do you think, boys?
I think so. You know, Alan was right saying that the full-back, you know, it's a good save, and the keeper must feel very angry here. But look, the full-back here, he's half a yard behind. Corica's about to pick his spot. There's the contact, and I think the referee has got to order.
You made a point about the full-back there, didn't you, Alan?
Yes, he's got himself in a shocking position. He's obviously ball-watched, and it's happened a long time as well. Look, it's gone in, great save from the keeper, and he's still not round on, you know. That's his area, and he's got caught kipping. I bet the managers give him the right time off at half-time.
Now then, one wonders, is it going to be enough? 1-0. Is 1 goal going to be enough for Wolves?
I think Charlton, you know, must be full of confidence, very disappointed. If Wolves have got to improve in midfield, they've got to close Charlton down, get the ball wide and get the service in, or else Charlton will get back in it. OK, well, have a look at the second half. All will be revealed over the next 45 minutes. Let's get back to our commentary team now. Dave Bassett with Rob Hawthorne.
I suppose there's always a danger that there's a persecution complex when things are going against you, as they seem to be going against Charlton at the moment, particularly that young man, Jamie Stewart, just 19 years of age, and perhaps a little bit of inexperience showing in the challenge that led to the penalty that has brought almighty relief to the Wolves fans here at Molineux, because it's a lead that on the balance of the first half you'd have to say was undeserved. But we'll see now what the half-time break has done to freshen up a Wolves side that's taken 7 points from their first 12 leading up to this game, and they've had a lucky break in the first half of this match. Andy Thompson's penalty. Thompson, a player in his testimonial year, had a pre-season testimonial match against Chelsea. Came to the club on the same day as Steve Bull, as we were hearing from George Gavin at half-time. Thompson now joins Bull on the list of goal scorers for Wolves this season. Roberts on the way to Mortimer. Atkins trying to play Froggatt in behind Anthony Barness. Here's Whyte. Mortimer. And ball against Jones, and he removed the ball from the spot where the kick was to be taken. Word of warning suffices.
Yeah, good common sense by Bill Burns there. He could have booked young Jones for kicking the ball away, but it was obviously wasn't intended. I think Jones thought the free kick was for Charlton.
Atkins. Venus. Free kick given against Bull. Let's hear from the Charlton manager, Alan Kirbishley. He's talking to George Gavin.
Alan, you seem to be collecting debatable penalty decisions against you at the moment, but did you have a view of that one?
Well, I thought it was a little bit hard from where I was, but also I'd like to see it. We've let 6 goals in this season, 2 penalties, 2 corners and 1 free kick.
Well, we can show...
In free play, we're quite strong, but you know, I'm a bit disappointed.
We can show it to you. Let's have a look at the replay of it.
I don't know, I thought that's a bit harsh myself. I don't think Ball was ever going to get contact. Is it, Ball? No, is it? No. I don't think it's a penalty.
It's Corica, isn't it? But your full-back was a bit behind him, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I don't think he's touched him, and I think that Corica was going to miss it. I don't think he was going to get there, and the way he's fallen, but the rest behind him, I mean, they say it evens itself up. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
You haven't done much wrong in the first half, have you? Much the same in the second? Is that the instruction to the team?
No, what has happened in the first half has been the story of our life so far this season, and we've got to get a goal. And I'm sure if we get a goal, we'll come back into this game and probably, you know, might come out on top. But we've got to get a goal.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Just seeing the penalty again, Rob, I felt, having the hindsight of seeing it at half-time, that had young Stuart not made the challenge, there was a fair chance that Balmer and Newton and the young Barness might have got a blocking because Corica was at an angle.
Smith winning the corner off John Robinson. Smith quickly offering himself for Osborn's corner. Richards up there, knocked it out of the direction of Steve Bull, who was waiting for it. Corica. Flung in by Venus. Roberts felt it was worthy of the challenge, but it was Salmon's ball.
Yes, going back to the corner, I don't think Steve Ball was too happy. Dean Richards flew in and got in front of him when I think Steve Ball was ready in a good position to be able to head the ball towards goal.
Richards knocked it back from goal. Stewart. Stewart trying to set it up for Leaburn, and how desperately he would like to redeem himself after the award of the penalty in the first half. Salmon's kick going straight to Osborn. Good challenging back by Mortimer. Here's Robinson. Leaburn. Newton. Jones has made a break into the box. Screening it from Venus. Newton against Froggatt. Venus with the block. This is Jones. They keep pushing, and Newton's shot deflected off his own man, David Whyte. But they're showing great persistence and battling qualities.
We see Newton going for the shot there, and he hits his own man, David Whyte. So I think the goalkeeper would have had that covered comfortably anyway.
Bull. Mason Stewart, he just got caught by Jamie Stewart, who's been in enough trouble already this evening, but is going to become the first player to be shown the yellow card.
Yes, Steve Ball was muscular and virile there, and he's got round Stuart, and Stuart's pulled his shirt back, and he's got no complaints. Still, Ball's attacking him, and I mean, he's rightly booked, and the referee's spot on.
Just pace Jamie Stewart and punished as a result. We heard Alan Kirby's bemoaning the fact that they've conceded so many goals from corners and free kicks, and here's more danger. Osborn curling it in. And again Simon Osborn. Clearance by Chapple. Stewart.
I think for Charlton to get back into this game, they've got to be a bit more forceful and, you know, create a few more opportunities. Once or twice, you know, they've been in reasonable crossing positions and they've decided to play the ball elsewhere when, you know, Leaburn can be a handful.
Stewart just hesitated, ball nipped in, Barness with a header away. Barness tidying up, there's no doubt about it. I think Stuart has been rattled by the penalty award in the first half. Young player, and the decision has obviously had a bad effect on him. Smith, hurled in by Smith towards Ewan Roberts. Froggatt going in to challenge the goalkeeper.
Well, that's the sort of play Wolves want, where they can get these crosses in, which proved for the goal, and Jamie Smith's got round the back there, hit a good far post cross, Ewan Roberts has pulled off, and he's headed it back across the goal, and one's got... it's Froggatt in there, I didn't realise that, so, you know, that's good play by Wolves.
Thompson. Roberts. And Froggatt pulled into another useful position. Ball is in the middle. Smith is tearing into the box as well. Cleared by Mortimer. Thompson gets it back in there. Could come to ball. Salmon spread himself at the striker's feet, and the ball trickled away.
Again, an error led to that. The cross had come in. It's a ball that's rebounded. Mortimer should have cleared it, and ball's onto it very quick, and the goalkeeper very bravely spreads himself, and the ball just trickles off him for a corner.
Osborn's corner, and that was brave and confident and decisive goalkeeping from Mike Salmon in coming right off his line to claim it.
Again, on the break earlier, Froggatt done well. He made good pace, but his final cross was of a poor quality to cause Charlton any problems where they were outnumbered. That could have been a second goal for them and more or less sewn the game up.
Smith with the throw. Ball. Here's Osborn, space on the left for Froggatt. Little lacking in support at the moment. Thompson's making a right old charge into the box if he can be found. It's away from Ewan Roberts. Disappointing finish from Froggatt after a break that offered so much.
Well, Froggatt had got wide early and Osborn found him through there, very nice, but he can't get an early crossing because Wolves haven't got any players, so he's got to hold the ball up, and he comes in and really, he'd probably done better passing it instead of trying to swing his right foot cross in there, which is never really going to cause Charlton any problems.
Osborn was the man who found Steve Froggatt, and in using the wing-backs, Wolves at last seem to have this Charlton defence stretched. Barness. Lifted forward by Venus. Here's Ewan Roberts. And Stewart involved with Steve Bull again.
They've certainly upped the tempo in the second half, Wolves. They're not allowing Charlton quite so much space and possession of the ball. You can see that Ewan Roberts tries to play Bully on the run. I think the referees actually pulled Bully up first initially for a push on the first contact.
Push was on Jamie Stewart. Roberts backing into for Chapple. It's Barmer over the kick. Stewart offering advice. Barner who plays it in, and not for the first time. That Wolves defence held firm. And now they're springing forward quickly with Froggatt. Ball playing right on the threshold of onside, offside, and in the end it didn't matter.
The tactic of coming out, Mark McGee used at Reading a lot, and they got it very effective. But really, the Charlton players were brain dead there. Had they looked around, it was obvious that the Wolves players weren't even marking them, that they were going to run out, and the player on the ball should have recognised that as well.
Mark McGee in his third managerial post after relative success at Reading and Leicester. Taken on a huge task in reviving this slumbering giant. Smith. Turned away by Robinson.
They certainly seem to be getting the ball wider quicker and getting players into those wide positions better in this half, Wolves.
Throw-in was aimed by Smith at Corica. Smith and Froggatt really the key players as far as Mark McGee's concerned.
Wolves fans being complimentary to Mike Summer.
They can afford to be generous spirited when their team is leading. Leaburn taking the throw in. You might have expected him to be the target from it. Get it back across by Chapple. Looking to set Whyte through, but it's cleared by Venus. Barness holding it up. The ball still gets there. Well, surely obstruction by the referee. Ball away anyway. And he might have found a gap. Mortimer chasing back. The flag is up. It's been ignored by the referee. The assistant referee is flagging furiously for an earlier offside. Just when Bull thought his persistence had paid off against Mortimer.
Yes, he's very strong there, Steve Bull, in those situations. I wasn't quite sure, but it must have been offside that the linesman's given.
Come off Venus last and gone for the corner. I think Corica may have been the player offside in that last instance when Bull was on the charge forward.
The linesman or the assistant referee, he was he was confident and he did well in the first half, and I think he's seen something that we didn't actually all see.
We'll trust his judgment then. Robinson's corner. Safe handling by Mike Stowell. Offside trap, it's Corica. He's held it up well for Bull. Bull went for placement. Good break by Corica.
Yes, he found himself in behind the Charlton back players. He does well, he shows some good composure. He squares the ball back across the box, and Steve Bull will be a bit disappointed that he's missed the target there. He's taken a good sort of surface for the ball. He was going to place it, but he's lifted his head and obviously it's gone over the bar.
Thompson tackling back on Newton. And Venus there with a clearance. Venus, whose place is perhaps deemed to be under threat when the likes of Emblem and Curl are fit to return.
Well, he may feel that because he's out of contract. He's on a week-to-week with Wolves, and he hasn't agreed terms with them.
Whyte and Stowell made the catch and then carried the ball behind the line, and the corner given. Stowell clearly believes that it was behind the line before he made contact with it, but the assistant referee appears to have been overruled.
Well, we see here, Whyte gets a little bit of luck. He hits his shot. It's comfortable for the keeper at the near post. It looks like it might have been over, but
Stewart. John Robinson. Now Mortimer. Usually loose pass from Mortimer. Venus has been playing well enough to bring about talks over a new contract. So has impressed sufficiently to bring about talks about a possible one-year deal. Look on by Leaburn.
There's a lack of communication there with Whyte and Leaburn. Leaburn's flicking on and Whyte's not getting the right position. He could have quite easily let that go through. All he needed was a little bit of talking.
Corica looking for Smith, but he found Robinson. Barness. Mortimer. Well, there looked an opening there for Leaburn, but Atkins was well aware of the danger. Continues to be.
That was a good ball by Mortimer. There was a lot of disguise. The Wolves players thought he was going to play it out to Charlton's left, and he did a reverse ball in, and you know, that could have been dangerous. We'll see there, Leaburn's pulled away, and Venus does very well stretching to kick that away.
Barness tussling with Andy Thompson and winning the verdict. Free kick given away by Wolves' penalty scorer.
I don't think Wolves are going to try stepping out on this particular one. We'll have to wait and see whether the Charlton players have learnt from it.
Mortimer taking the free kick. It's too easy for Mike Stowell, and Alan Kirbishley looked in despair before the free kick was taken, so that angst can only have increased after that free kick. Charlton, who had so much of the first half, have been knocked out of their stride by the penalty award.
And I certainly think Wolves' attitude and their play in the second half has improved a fair bit. So that's obviously been a problem for Charlton also. And certainly they're not getting the possession they had and the time and comfort on the ball that they had in the first half.
Wolves just managed to bide their time and struck at just the right moment. They won't be writing Charlton off. Here's Newton. Barness. Robinson. A wild lash at the ball. Placed forward by Osborn. It was a neat, accurate ball to Roberts. Stumble from Ewan Roberts at just the wrong moment. It's been a frustrating first 7 games for him in the team, but Mark McGee has offered words of consolation to him and said that similarly he had a dodgy spell when he was at Newcastle, went the first 8 games without scoring and ended up rattling up 26 for the season. He's hoping that that will be an omen for the man he signed in the summer from Leicester City. Robinson. Mortimer. Whyte. Throw in from Stuart lets Charlton down just at a time when it seemed they were gradually building their way back into the game. They've shown admirable patience in the face of the setback that they suffered. But it's just not happening for them tonight, as it hasn't been happening for them this season. Game behind in their fixtures. They lost a match against Birmingham due to international commitments. Charlton have rather been left behind in the league table. Osborn clipping this one in, and the flag up for offside against Steve Bull. Charlton were the draw specialists last season. 20 of their 46 league matches ended up drawn, and I'm sure Alan Kirbishley at the moment would welcome a point from this game. He knew that they had a tough start to the season, facing the likes of West Brom, Manchester City and Wolves, and that tough start has been borne out by the results they've achieved so far. There's still time for them to turn this one around. Barness, and here's Mortimer, opening for him. Came off the back of Venus. Corica, Thompson, and Bull was offside.
Yes, he's annoyed with himself, Bull, because he went too early, but I think he was thinking that the ball originally was going to be played through. But, promising move for Wolves there, and as you can see, he's well offside, and the move's broken down.
Whyte. Robinson forced wide, and unable to keep it in. John Robinson scored against Wolves last season in the Coca-Cola Cup, but Charlton actually lost the game by 2-1. Mark Atkins scoring one of the Wolves goals that day, and it was the only positive result in the 4 matches played between the teams last season, because both league matches were drawn, as was the first match in that 3rd round Coca-Cola Cup tie. Newton. Good break had been made by Jones. Newton hoping to profit from Barness's throw. And it was hit too firmly back to Barness by David Whyte. Disappointing touch from the Charlton striker.
Just feel also Charlton's passing's been a little bit more sloppy this half than it was in the first half. Felt that it was a little bit crisper and played earlier in the first half. This half there seemed to be the odd extra touch and not quite the concentration and accuracy.
Still early days in the season, but the alarm bells will start to ring at Charlton if points continue to drift away from them.
Well, I think teams can always be concerned when they don't get the points early on, but there's a long way to go. And Charlton have got 2 home games coming up, and you know, obviously the pressure will be on to win those games.
Stewart's cross, a gift for Stowell.
Disappointing cross by Stuart there, really. It was neither one thing or the other, and Whyte and Leaburn were somewhat static, but really, having said that, they didn't really know what sort of cross that it was going to be anyway.
Flick on by Roberts to Bull, and chance for Roberts! Could this be the goal? Bull! Well, he set it up unselfishly. Turned away by Chapple.
Well, that was a great opportunity for Wolves to seal the game and go 2-0 up there. I thought that Ewan was going to score himself, but he obviously got a call, or he decided that Bully was in a better position.
He's desperate to get that first goal for Wolves, is Ewan Roberts. He says he'll go on a lap of honour around the town if he manages it. The shot from Newton hit his own man, but what a great opportunity this was for Wolverhampton Wanderers and for the strike partners.
There's a good touch on there by Ewan Roberts to Bull. Bull reverses through, and Balmer doesn't defend very well. He gets caught up on Ewan's feet. In fairness, he was struggling on with his feet there in that instance.
Wolves making a change. Steve Corica is the player coming off, and Darren Ferguson is coming on to take his place.
One must say that Salmon deserves a bit of credit. He got a good block, and he's got his body in the way of Bull shot there. But it was a good opportunity for Wolves to have gone 2-0 up, and I think that would have sealed the game.
And another change being made, this time by Charlton. It's the young fullback, Jamie Stewart, coming off. 2 changes, in fact, being made. Brendan O'Connell and Bradley Allen coming on.
I think Allen's decided he needs to liven things up with a few fresh pairs of legs, and Bradley Allen giving him a third centre forward, a bit more firepower up there, and you know, play a 3 in midfield.
Brendan O'Connell, the other player to come on. So fresh legs on both teams. Corica, the man who won the penalty, sacrificed by Wolves. Mark McGee feels that the team hasn't really seen the best of him because he was a little behind on pre-season training when he was with the Australian Olympic team in Atlanta. Suffered a broken leg in his time at Leicester City, and then moved back from Leicester to link up again with Mark McGee here at Molineux. Early chance for Allen, trying to pull it back for Whyte! Well, Bradley Allen almost having an immediate impact as he tried to set up the equaliser.
Yeah, we saw an example of where Leaburn won a flick on, and Bradley Allen got on the end of it. He's got across Atkins there, he's done quite well, and he's got a fair cross in there, and David Whyte gets a good leap, but for him it's over the bar. That's Charlton's real best chance of this half, isn't it? We can see David Whyte will be a little bit disappointed he hasn't forced Stowell into a save.
Charlton have got a poor record here at Molineux. They've won just 3 of the 28 league meetings between the teams here. The last victory for Charlton was some 44 years ago. And this is going to take some turning around, particularly if Wolves can get a second. Smith on the break, Bull in space to his left. And it was a disappointing ball, made too easy for Chapple. Bull has a right to be frustrated.
Ewan Roberts did well there, used his body, was fouled, and the referee actually acknowledged that and played on. And young Jamie Smith broke, and he's really hung onto the ball just a little bit too long. It should have been delivered through to Bull earlier.
He got into a great position at Bull. Smith pulling it in there again, and it's Barmer this time with a clearance.
When he broke, had he fed Bull a little bit earlier, then the Charlton player wouldn't have been able to close him down. There we see Jamie Smith's on. Bull's in a good position. If he spun that in behind early, Barmer wouldn't have, or Chapple wouldn't have been able to get that block in.
Thompson hurls in the throw. Ewan Roberts got the touch. And Balmer wasn't taking any chances, even though Salmon was out with his hands outstretched just behind him. Robinson. Covered by Atkins. O'Connell. Bradley Allen for Charlton. This is David Whyte trying to weave a way through. Held in by Robinson, but away from Carl Leaburn, and no harm done for Wolves. The next in our Nationwide League offerings for you here on Sky Sports 3 comes up on Sunday. It's Reading against Oxford, local derby at Elm Park. Make sure you're with us from 12 noon. Newton. Thompson. Free kick going against Allen. Flicked in by Atkins. This is Steve Bull. Barness, who switched to left back in the reorganisation since Jamie Stewart's departure. Clearance by Richards. Barness, who played just 14 games in his 4 seasons at Chelsea, giving the ball away to Richards. This is Roberts. Allen. Jones. Roberts tracking back. Wolves had a horrendous run-in last season, only avoided relegation by 3 points in the end. Didn't win any of their last 8 league matches and slumped from 11th to their eventual finish of 20th spot in the First Division. Charlton too, even though they made the playoffs, had a really bad end to the campaign, and the fact that it's carrying over to the start of this one must be causing some alarm, although they strongly feel that the results haven't really done justice to their performances. Ferguson setting Froggatt away. And is it a penalty? No! Newton was the man responsible. Froggatt thought he'd been shoved.
And it was a shoulder to shoulder. Referees have been known to give penalties at Wolves for those.
Froggatt thought he had a sound claim here. Ferguson putting the ball through.
Yes, it's a good positive run by Froggatt, and as we said, Newton's the easy Ozzy. I'm inclined to agree with the referee. I wouldn't have given a penalty.
Headed back by David Whyte. Charlton would have wondered what had what they'd been doing wrong. Had they conceded a third penalty in a week, and Newton must have been a little relieved.
Well, you see there, it's good athletic running by both of them. Froggatt's just pushed the ball there, and one seen penalties given, but I certainly didn't think that was a penalty.
Thompson. Strong words for Andy Thompson from his manager. Ball. Good for Roberts with the cross. It's Chapple who cuts it out. Smith hustled off the ball by O'Connell. Atkins. Header infield by O'Connell. Chapple launched himself at it before Ferguson could get there. And this is Newton. Hopeful one from Venus. And Salmon was taking something of a risk with Roberts bounding in towards him. Here's Phil Chapple. Barness. Knock on by O'Connell. And hoofed away by Mark Atkins. Ball not giving up the chase. Newton. It's Phil Chapple. Whyte. It's O'Connell's cross. It was too strongly hit for Leaburn to feel the benefit.
Again, a promising position in the wide position. All it needs is a good, decent delivery and cross, and it causes problems, and that just lets the defending team off the hook. With 6 minutes to go, got to get a decent cross in there to put Wolves under pressure or create a goal-scoring opportunity.
Charlton had a good away record last season. 9 games they won away from the Valley, which was as good a record as the champions Sunderland. But ultimately their promotion ambitions foundered against Dave Bassett's own side, Crystal Palace, in the playoff semi-finals. I think you've seen a bit of a change in the way that they play from the way that they played against you.
Yes, I felt in the latter half of last season they were quite direct. They looked for Leaburn all the time, but I felt the 2 games that I've seen them play today, they're not quite so reliant on that.
Chance O'Connell perhaps? Well, maybe they wanted a little too much time. It was Allen first, then O'Connell. They're pressing well at the death, but Wolves holding firm. Froggatt now on the chase. Thompson looking for space on the right-hand side and gets onto it. Froggatt has made a burst into the box. Ferguson's there as well. And O'Connell was coming back there with a challenge. The 2 number 12s locking horns.
That was a good break by Wolves when they won it back, and Froggatt played that early crossfield ball, which Jamie Smith should have done really with Steve Ball early in the game, and it allowed Thompson to get forward and get the cross in.
Newton, this is a good break. And turn behind for the corner by Mark Atkins. Wolves' work by no means over. Robinson's corner. O'Connell was coming in strongly, headed away by Mark Atkins. He's suddenly coming into his own. A lot of involvement in the closing stages for Atkins, summoning all his experience. Corner left for Robinson to take. And that was a stumble by Stowell, but it was a... Well, I thought the referee didn't put a push, but he hasn't. It was a straightforward stumble by the goalkeeper. Ferguson, Thompson. John Robinson for Charlton. Taking on Smith. Smith did well. Ball challenge from behind by the Charlton captain, Stuart Barmer.
Certainly the second half has been a vastly improved performance by Wolves. They've created a lot more problems for Charlton, and Charlton haven't been as effective and created those opportunities. And you know, Alan Kirby's will be disappointed because in the first half they'd done well enough perhaps not to go behind, but again, whatever happens is you've got to get the ball in the net at some stage.
Jones. Osborn getting in the way of Allen and Roberts, but now Barness.
That was inexperienced play, you know, at that distance really. Newton was wide, unmarked, and really, you know, the ball should have been swept out to him. You know, you've got to be playing well to start smashing those goals in.
And I can tell you that the Nationwide League man of the match is Andy Thompson. So that's one award he's won, but will he be the match winner? His penalty is keeping Wolves in the lead at the moment. Charlton showing no signs of just caving into that though. Wolves would still like a second goal just to make absolutely certain. Possession will do for them. Here's Froggatt. Clearance by Balmer, Thompson coming in. He's sort of harried all night. Here's Dean Richards. Good break from Richards, tremendous run! And just couldn't put the gloss finish on it.
Yeah, good break by Richards. He's got that pace, he moves nice and smoothly when he breaks out in those situations, comfortable on the ball. He comes down well there. Leaburn chases back, he uses his strength, he goes past Barmer, and he shows a little bit of sense of tripping the keeper there.
Injury time approaching, and had that led to a goal for Dean Richards, then the points would have been safe for Wolves. But at the moment, Mark McGee's team still hanging on by a thread and facing a throw-in that perhaps Leaburn will hope to launch into the box. Now he's lined up to take it, looking for Chapple with a flick back. Clearance by Venus. Barmer coming under pressure. Robinson. Turned away by Barmer for the throw, and that'll do as far as Wolves are concerned. They've edged their way out of their own penalty area, where they were under fierce pressure. And the full-time whistle goes, and Wolves have held on thanks to Andy Thompson's first half penalty. They've secured the 3 points here against a Charlton side still seeking their first victory of the campaign. Thompson, the man who came to Wolves on the same day as Steve Bull in a man of the match winning performance to delight this Wolves crowd. It was a tense, nervous time for them, particularly during the first half, where Charlton really put Mike Stowell to the test, K.Jones on a couple of occasions, and John Robinson in particular producing good saves from the Wolves goalkeeper. Saves that in the end proved to be crucial, even though Wolves came out looking a little more fired up in the second half and gave Mike Salmon in the Charlton goal more work to do. But it's the points that count for Mark McGee's team, and they have secured them to take their tally for the season on to 10 points. Not quite enough to put them top of the table, even though they go level on points with Bolton Wanderers. They're a little behind still on goals scored, but the goal that's been scored from the penalty spot by Andy Thompson has given them their latest win, and he's now talking to George Gavin.
Congratulations, Andy, man of the match. And penalty take, you don't miss, do you, from the penalty spot? But you feel you should have scored the header just before the penalty?
Yeah, so the lads were giving me a bit of jib about not scoring with a header. I was wondering what was happening. Yeah, so but I've got the penalty, and so we've won the game 1-0.
Do you feel there was any doubt about the penalty decision?
To be fair, I was too busy. I was lying on the floor at the time, so I didn't really see it myself. But the lad was saying that Stevie was pushed, but I didn't have an eye view of it.
You don't miss many. You like Matt Letizia. You don't miss maybe from the spot, do you?
No, I've missed a couple, so but over the years, so I've scored a few.
Do you ever feel like the poor relation in the partnership with Steve Bull? Because you came on the same day from West Bromwich Albion, didn't you? But he gets all the publicity. Yeah,
so he can have it as if he wants. Yeah, so he's done well for the club, scored a lot of goals. But say I'm in the team at the moment, and I'm just happy to be playing.
Takes you to third spot on goals scored, but do you feel it's all slotted into place just yet?
No, not yet. So like the second half, towards the end, the last 20 minutes, I thought that we was dying off a little bit, and they come into it a little bit more. So, but we defended well, get the clean sheet, and we've won the game with that.
And the fans, are they patient enough for you?
Hopefully, so we're trying to play a different kind of football from what we've done in the past, but so they've just got to be a little bit more patient with us, and so it'll come right in the end.
Congratulations, Andy, well done.
Thanks very much.
21,000 fans at Molineux this evening. 3 points to Wolves. They've beaten Charlton by 1-0. Andy Thompson, the scorer, from the penalty spot. Full-time analysis coming up with the two Allens after this break. Over on Sky Sports 1 at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, it's Mike Tyson against Bruce Selden. Tyson challenging for Selden's WBA heavyweight title. And later on, over on Sky Sports 2 on Sunday afternoon, two sides still in with a real chance of winning the Sunday League title. Surrey and Northamptonshire meet at the Oval, and that starts at 1 o'clock over on Sky Sports 2. But tonight we've been at Molineux, our live game, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Charlton Athletic. Wolves have won it by 1-0. Andy Thompson from the penalty spot in the first half. Equal attempts on goal, equal on target for both teams. Just 5 corners in the game. Look at those fouls, 26 fouls. 1 booking, no sendings off. And the action areas in the first half, Charlton, we felt, probably went in slightly aggrieved that they were behind. And the second half, we'll see what the boys thought about Charlton's second half performance, and Wolves, of course, in a couple of minutes. 21,000 fans there tonight, and the top of the table looks like this now. Bolton Wanderers, 10 points, played 4, same for Stoke. And Wolves have played 5, 10 points, so they'd like to call themselves joint top, wouldn't they, really? They're third in the first division. And at the bottom, Charlton Athletic, still second from bottom, played 4, only a point. Alan Kirbishley won't be very happy about that. Let's hear from the victorious Wolves manager now. Mark McGee is with George Gavin.
Mark, well done, but are you playing as you want to yet?
I think in a game like that tonight, I can't claim that it was very pretty. I mean, I don't know what it looked like in the TV, but, you know, all games, you know, are about different elements of play. Tonight it was about, most of the game for us, about defending, you know. We had a game 2 nights ago, and it had its toll on us, you know. We had a game the other night where we did have a lot of possession, we pushed forward, and we took a lot out of ourselves. Tonight the defenders were asked to do the job, the goalkeeper was asked to do the job, and I think they've done it very, very well. I never really felt that we were likely to lose a goal. I was very confident that they were concentrating and they were at their work.
With more to come, presumably, are you happy then to be up there where you are now?
Well, I think I've said to the boys in the dressing room, you know, that after 5 games, and when we were working hard in pre-season and doing the running and up the hills, had I offered them an extra run up one of these hills for 10 points after 5 games, they'd have went and done it. I think it's a reasonable total. I think we've accomplished it maybe in not exactly the way that we would have maybe envisaged. But I think at this stage there's a lot of people would be happy with 10 points. We've still got 1 or 2 to come back. We've said it. We're still looking for 1 or 2. I think there's a lot of improvement in this team, even as we stand at the moment, still to come. And I think that for the rest of the season, you know, it can only be good.
Charlton feel aggrieved by the penalty. Did you get a view of it?
Oh, I mean, there's been so many disputed penalties recently. I think that they're going to feel that they were done with a penalty the other night as well. We were done with a penalty last week, you know. So I've said this at the time last week. It swings and roundabouts, and it is. I'll see it again on the TV. From where I was sitting, it looked like a penalty kick.
Okay, perhaps we can show the penalty to you, but it really was Charlton's problem, wasn't it, really coping with it? The full-back wasn't up with your player. And Andy Thompson maybe should have got the header in before the penalty.
Oh, I think Andy would think he should have scored. You know, he's headed it straight at the keeper, but here we go. Well, I mean, Andy's got a little bit ahead of the ball, but the boy's definitely lenting him, you know. I would say that's a penalty.
Would you support video replays during a match to help referees?
Well, you know, it's funny because the two penalties, even that one there, but the penalty on Tuesday night that Charlton lost, and the two penalties, in fact, one that we lost last week and the one that we were denied last week. I watched them over and over again, and you know, it was still debatable. You know, some referee might have given it, some others wouldn't. So I think the referee could look at a replay and spend a half hour looking at a replay and still not be sure. I think you have to include the human element in football. We make mistakes as managers, we make mistakes as players, we make mistakes. I think that it's about you know, it's about human beings. You know, it's not about machines. I think that. You know, we've lost a penalty this week, we've got one last week, we've got one this week, we're happy.
Mark, thanks for joining us, well done.
Thank you.
George Gavin talking to Mark McGee there. Good point about, you know, video replays, really. What do you two think about the possibility of them being introduced? Pass the buck, eh?
I think it's difficult, but, you know, if we go back to one of the games, the Barnsley, the throw-in that was never a goal, I think if you watch that in the replay, the fourth referee, he'd guarantee he would have ruled that goal out. So I think there is clear-cut ones, which somehow refs miss. But tonight was a little bit 50-50, you know. I think just because the Charlton full-back was behind Corica, brought him down, then I think that was the major factor. That's why he gave the penalty.
OK, well, we can see that incident now. Do you have a view on, seriously, Alan, on video replays?
I think there's, you know, the time will come when, you know, they possibly be used, but for things, you know, critical things inside the box and sending off,
So we can't really see what the referee is there, but, you know, this is a good header down, and once again Charlton are ball watching, because he gets in there, doesn't he, Thompson, and the referee's now catching up with play. He can see the backs of the players, and you can just see the three in desperation, half a yard behind, getting his left leg in, and the resulting penalty, you know, gives Wolves the 3 points. But I can't help thinking we must be seeing a lot more of Wolves an improvement, because goodness me, you'd have, you know, I thought that would have set them on the way, that penalty there, and it certainly didn't. And you know, at the end of the day, Charlton were with the better side first half, and then they seemed to sulk second half because of the penalty.
Yep, you weren't impressed at all by Charlton, were you, Alan, in the second half? Wolves did seem to step up again. We thought, hello, there might be some more goals here.
Neither side really impressed me. One boy did impress me, the little right full-back Smith. I think you've seen a very good, promising youngster there who can go on and make a real name for himself. He is what I like to see in a player. He was up and down, he was taking people on, doing positive things, loved his football, loved it, and really enjoyed himself out there tonight. But apart from him, a lot of ordinary things went on, and Charlton's second half, I thought, were poor. They got turned over down the flanks quite an awful lot. Both sides didn't get the ball in the box with any quality at all, otherwise I think we'd have seen more goals. But it was just an ordinary game.
Alan, as a former striker, what did you make of Ewan Roberts and Steve Bull as a partnership tonight?
You know, Bull plays on centre-half shoulders, trying to use his tremendous pace, trying to get in behind them. I was disappointed with Ewan Roberts, to be honest, because when the ball did go wide and the ball was coming into the box, he was getting sucked towards the ball. He should be making his run from beyond the far post, where he comes in on the blind side of centre-halves. And if he keeps getting sucked in and getting a little bit on his heels as the ball comes across, he ain't going to get his 25 goals. There
was one opportunity that Ewan Roberts had in the second half where we all thought he was going to shoot, didn't we?
Yeah, he just lost his footing. You know, it's coming to the end of the game, it's getting a little bit slippy of the pitch. Just there, I thought, go on, lift it over him, you know, just get a fire on it. But unselfishly, gives it to Bull, and that's a good save from the keeper.
Is that a confidence thing with him? Do you think he hasn't scored this season for Wolves?
When I seen it right away, I thought it was, but when you look here, watch him, just goes in there, I thought, go on, stick it away. But now he loses his footing, and he does the right thing now. He's off balance, he lays it to Bull, and Bull should score.
Good stop from Mike Salmon as well, wasn't it, Alan?
Yeah, his angles were spot on there. He stood up, made himself big. Good save.
Both keepers played well. I agree with Alan. I thought Wolves' best player was the full-back. And I think, obviously, the Wolves' goalkeeper played well as well. First half, kept him in it, and that's the home side.
Alan Kirbishley won't be happy with that second-half performance, though, will he, from his players?
You look at Alan, you know, he said before the game that it was going to be a hard game at Molineux, 20-odd thousand. And after the first half, he might have said, come on, guys, we're unlucky again with a penalty. Let's lift it, we get a goal. And he almost said, if we get an equaliser, we'll win the match.
You see, the problem now for Alan is the confidence thing with players. They played okay first half. They played well at Manchester City United. They've got nothing for it. You get into the habit of starting to feel sorry for yourself, and your confidence goes, and then before you know it is, you can't win a game for love nor money, and then everything seems to go against you. That's what he'll have to do. He'll have to do a lot of picking up this week, you know, picking people up before the next game.
Well, we seem to, on these programmes, talk about penalty incidents quite a lot, and tonight has been absolutely no exception. Should Steve Froggatt have had a penalty, another penalty for Wolves, in the second half?
This boy Newton gets back and uses pace, but Froggatt gets the ball first. Look, here's a touch, and now they collide. Now again, Mark McGee's saying that you've seen referees give it and others not, but this is a lovely ball. I thought there was a touch of offside, but Newton's got pace. He's got a lot of confidence in his pace, but he gets the ball just slightly slower. Froggatt gets a touch, there's the contact. Now I've seen referees give that as a penalty.
What chance Wolves for promotion then, Alan?
I think they'll have to improve an awful lot on that. I think Bull and Roberts up front are real powerhouses. Not a lot of finesse, not a lot of cute stuff about them. They've got to get their act together. They've got to start knocking people about, getting in on things, you know, in the air across the box, and they've got to really start to terrorise people. The build-up's just okay. I think there's a lot of work to be done for them. But again, here at Molineux, they'll be a difficult side to beat.
There's an old saying in football, isn't there, that positions in the table rarely lie. But are Charlton in a false position?
I think they are at the moment, but Alan's made a very good point, a valid point, that as well as you keep playing football and not getting results, suddenly the confidence drains away. And I watched enough of Charlton last year, and they've still got a lot of them players in the side this season. They are a good side, and they will do well at home. But the way they sort of powder puff second half, they seem to sulk over the penalty. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a come on, let's lift ourselves off the bottom of that table.
Is that a technical term, powder puff, by the way? I'm just wondering. Because I heard Alan was using it as well, you see.
No, they're a good side, but they didn't show it second half, and they're going to have to improve in the next few weeks.
OK, tonight's match, just the start of another busy weekend of nationwide action. Some really big games coming up during the next 24 hours or so in Division 1. Here's John Roeder.
Colin Todd is looking for Bolton to continue their season as they've started it. Bolton are top of the Nationwide League after Alan Thompson's last-minute winner at Queen's Park Rangers. Next step for Bolton is at bottom of the table, Southend. Plenty of eager anticipation at Stowell.
Involved in football. Manchester City play Barnsley tomorrow. Barnsley 100% record. That would be some result for them if they could beat Barnsley, wouldn't it?
I expect them to beat Barnsley. The crowd will expect them to beat Barnsley. The only thing the reason they won't beat Barnsley is if they're not in confident mood, and if the crowd start to get a bit edgy after 10-15 minutes. They're at home. Main Road is a hard place to go and play, but it'll also be a hard game for Manchester City if the crowd, you know, get on their back. If they don't, and they will get behind them and support them, and I think they'll beat them.
Who do you fancy then to get automatic promotion and playoff places in the First Division?
Well, to be quite honest, and I don't sit on the fence, I haven't seen hardly any First Division teams. In the Premier League last year, and
You've seen Bolton and Stoke there,
I saw Bolton and Stoke. Bolton played very, very well against the second half. Stoke, hard. They always seem to be around there the last couple of years. Yeah, they're okay. You've seen Wolves in third place today. I can't see why Manchester City can't go on, and they've got the players there. They can't go on and make a name for themselves this year.
OK, let's have a look at the top of the table, get the thoughts of Alan Brazil as well.
I think Bolton, to be honest, Russ, are the best side I've seen so far. It's early days yet, isn't it? But Bolton Wanderers at QPR were very good. QPR themselves, if they get their act together, they can be up there. I tend to agree. There was a lot of things said about in the papers. I think QPR are a little bit short in midfield, and I think if they can build on that, they've got to be there. City, once they get on a run, and when you got a player like Kincladze in your side, I think he could play in any league in the world and be a star. I think he's that good, and he needs a little help around him. And if City get on a roll, get a couple of results, they can easily bounce back up there.
Well, all the drama is going to unfold over the next few months here on Sky Sports 3. You can be absolutely sure of that. I've got to ask you, Alan, what are your plans? I mean, it's been great having you here tonight, and thanks for coming in. What are you going to do?
I'm going to play in the Mike Osborn Classic Golf on Sunday. I'm going to play golf Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably Thursday.
Good for you. What's your handicap?
Enjoy myself. It'll get better, I can assure you. But I'm relaxing. I'm finding my own time, and I love life, and I've got a lot of living to do, and you know, I'm really going to enjoy it.
Well, we wish you well. Thanks for coming in. Come and see us again. Thanks a lot, Alan, for coming in as well. So tonight, our live game. Wolverhampton Wanderers have beaten Charlton by 1-0. A controversial penalty maybe as far as Charlton are concerned, but they're joint top, and they're very happy about that. We hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching. See you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bitter in their worlds, always hiding from the truth, running for cover with one another, paint the town red high.
The Sports Centre preview the rest of the weekend's football over on Sky Sports 1 next. On Sky Sports 2, WWF Wrestling, while next here on Sky Sports 3, USPGA Golf, with live coverage at the Bell Canadian Open.